Hey guys, it's Darby, welcome to the channel. This is my guide for everything you're gonna need to know about how to build Sunday in Honkai Star Rail. Alright, let's talk about Sunday's kit and how he works. Sunday is an imaginary character following the path of Harmony. He is a buffer who mainly buffs crit-based characters as well as giving some energy regeneration, and he specializes in buffing characters that utilize summons. Sunday's basic attack just deals a little bit of imaginary damage to a single target. Sunday's skill enables one character and their summon to immediately take action and increases their damage dealt by 30%. If the target has a summon, then the damage boost is increased further by another 50% lasting for 2 turns. If Sunday uses this ability on a Harmony character, it does not trigger the advance forward. Sunday's talent increases the target's crit rate by 20% when using skill for 3 turns. When Sunday uses his ultimate on an ally, they regenerate 20% of their max energy and they become the Beatified, and have their crit damage increased by 30% of Sunday's crit damage plus 12%. This lasts for 3 of Sunday's turns. After Sunday uses his technique, the first time Sunday uses an ability on an allied target in the next battle, the target's damage dealt increases by 50% lasting for 2 turns. Sunday's first major trace guarantees that when using his ultimate, you will get 40 energy at minimum. Sunday's second major trace makes it so when the battle starts, Sunday regenerates 25 energy. And Sunday's third major trace makes it so when using his skill, he dispels 1 debuff from the target. Sunday's minor traces include crit damage, effect res, and defense. And the order I would recommend leveling up his abilities would be his skill, his ultimate, his talent, and then finally his basic attack if you really want to. And now with all that information out of the way, let's talk about Sunday's best relics. Now, for Sunday's best relic set, I would recommend using the Sacerdos Melodic Earrings for the increased speed, and the 4-piece when using skill or ultimate on one target ally increases the ability's target's crit damage by 18% lasting for 2 turns. This effect can stack up to 2 times, which would end up being a 36% crit damage bonus. Now, this is a new set, so you might not have it. His second best option, I believe, would be Messenger Traversing Hackerspace for the increased speed by 6%, and the 4-piece when the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally, speed for all allies increases by 12% for 1 turn. Or, an alternative option, if you're just looking for your best substats, you could go a 2-piece Messenger for that 6% speed, and a 2-piece Sacerdos Relive the Ordeal, that's the actual name, this is not the name, for the 6% speed. Combining that, you get 12% speed for free, which is really good for a Harmony character. Now let's look at the planar ornaments. In my opinion, his best in slot will be Lushaka the Sunken Seas for the energy regen by 5% and the attack boost to the first member of your team. But again, it's a new set, so his second best in my opinion would be Broken Keel, which means you get 10% effect res, and when you reach 30% effect res, all teammates' crit damage increases by 10%. Alright, so for main stats, I would recommend using a crit damage body with speed boots, and for the planar ornaments, either an HP or defense orb, and an energy regeneration rope. And for substats, you mainly just want to get speed and as much crit damage as you can. You either want to get enough speed that your Sunday is basically going hyperspeed and the fastest thing there ever was, or you want him speed tuned perfectly 1 speed slower than your main DPS. And for other substats, effect res, HP, defense, they can't hurt to keep your support alive. And that's all about his relics. Let's talk about his best light cones. So, Sunday's best in slot light cone is going to be his signature light cone, a Grounded Ascent. After the wearer uses skill or ultimate on one ally character, the wearer regenerates 6 energy, and the ability target receives 1 stack of him for 3 turns, stacking up to 3 times. Each stack of him increases the holder's damage dealt by 15%. And after every 2 instances of skill or ultimate the wearer uses on one ally character, recovers 1 skill point. This light cone is kind of broken, as it gives a total of 45% damage bonus, on top of everything else Sunday does. But now I'm not expecting you to go for his signature light cone, as there are other options. If you've saved up the whale dust over time, you could get But the Battle Isn't Over, which is Bronya's signature light cone, which increases the wearer's energy regeneration by 10%, and regenerates 1 skill point when the wearer uses their ultimate every 2 turns. This also increases the damage dealt by 30% when the wearer uses their skill on an ally. This is definitely the best sheer buffing light cone besides his signature. Now a gacha light cone, a 4-star option, Dance Dance Dance, one of the most incredible harmony light cones in the game. When the wearer uses their ultimate, all allies' actions are advanced forward by 24%, which is just a really good light cone that can be used anywhere. And then finally, his best and only real free-to-play option is Past and Future, which you can buy in the Memory of Chaos shop, I believe. When the wearer uses their skill, the next ally taking action deals 32% increased damage for 1 turn, which will work perfectly on Sunday, as his skill brings forward by 100% the character you use it on. Now that is all for the light cones, so let's take a look at some Sunday teams. Here's a little summary image if you just want a refresher on everything you need to know. Now, Sunday is a buffer that specializes in giving crit buffs, so any character that utilizes crit can work with Sunday. For example, Jingliu, Zeela, Blade, they all want crit rate and crit damage, and Sunday gives both. Now Sunday also gives some energy regeneration, which will make him also really good for characters like Yunli and Argenti. But Sunday does specialize in summon-based characters, which means characters currently in the game like Jingyuan, Topaz, and Ling Sha, who all have summons, Sunday can buff incredibly well. Keep in mind, the new path is Remembrance that is coming out in 3.0, and Remembrance characters specialize in using summons. So Sunday will likely become meta very soon. Now for other teammates in a Sunday based team comp that you could use, depending on your DPS it will change, so you could use other buffers like Robin, Bronya, Sparkle, and Ting Yun, and for sustain, it would depend on what your main DPS really wants, but like in a follow-up attack comp you could use Aventurine, or in a team that wants energy a lot, you could use Huahua. If you're for some reason using a break DPS, I suppose Boot Hill can work with Sunday with the crit and advance forward, you could use Ling Sha. That's it for characters Sunday works with, so now let's talk about his Eidolons. Alright, so Sunday's E1 makes it so when Sunday uses his skill on an ally, they can ignore 16% of enemy target's defense, and their summon can ignore 40% of the enemy target's defense, which lasts for 2 turns. That is a massive defense ignore buff. Sunday's E2 makes it so after the first use of Sunday's ultimate, you recover 2 skill points, and the damage dealt by the Beatified increases by 30%. Sunday's E3 is an ultimate and basic attack level up. His E4 makes him regenerate an extra 8 energy when his turn starts. His E5 is a skill and talent level up. And Sunday's E6 is a massive increase. His talent's crit rate boost effect becomes stackable up to 3 times, which means that it becomes a 60% crit rate boost. And it increases the duration by 1 turn. When Sunday uses his ultimate, you can also apply the talent's crit rate boost. And when the talent's crit rate boost takes effect and the target's crit rate exceeds 100%, every 1% of excess crit rate increases the crit damage by 2%. Which means it doesn't matter if you overcap on crit rate because you'll get bonus crit damage either way. Now, in my opinion, I'm going to be going for his light cone and not E1, but his E1 is where I would stop if I was going for Eidolons. E2 is very good, but his E1 is just kind of busted, and if you are going for Eidolons, this would be the one to get. And that's all on his Eidolons, so now let's go into some final thoughts on Sunday. Sunday is shaping up to be an incredibly strong supportive unit, and his value is only going to increase the more summon using characters are introduced with the new Remembrance path. So should you pull for Sunday? If you like him, go for it. He's really strong and he will be really good with any crit based character. Or are you planning on investing in the likely new summon meta? Then absolutely go for him, as he's going to be their best support. And if you don't really care about summon or crit teams, well then feel free to skip. It's not like you won't rerun one day anyway. so you can always get him later. It's your choice at the end of the day, but make sure you think about it before he goes away. That's going to be it from me. Thank you so much for watching my guide video. If you enjoyed or learned something, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.